Hey guys, TJ Lawton here, and today I want to talk about decision fatigue. This is something I've picked up from Bill Gates, and I see a few other artists talking about it. What decision fatigue is, when you think about stuff, it takes up mental energy. It's pretty self-explanatory. And when sometimes that's a good thing. Like, let's say you're doing accounting, you really want to think about what you're doing and plan it all out, exert that mental energy in order to come to a very logical and sound conclusion, because it's money can be quite serious, especially if you're a high level accountant, right? You need to make sure you're doing the right thing. However, when it comes to things like music, because there are no right or wrong answers, a lot of the time, someone, myself included, I might sit down to write a track, and I'm thinking, oh, where should I start? What should I do? Should I use this sound? Should I use that sound? And what this actually does is it puts you into a bit of a mental lock. It starts using up mental energy that is going to diminish your flow state essentially. And as you keep stopping to make these little mental decisions, even if they're a few seconds long, it starts to diminish your flow state more and more. Or it could actually stop you getting into flow state entirely. You can think of decision fatigue as actually a block to it. If the first thing you do when you open up your door, like Ableton, is you're thinking, where should I start? You're already putting another barrier in front of yourself for getting into that flow state. And there was an interesting podcast from Andrew Huberman, who's a PhD neuroscientist who has a massive YouTube channel, talks about how the brain works and how we can get into flow state. I loved his analogy of it. Is like flow state's like walking up some very steep stairs, and you have to use a lot of strenuous effort at the start, but then you go through a door and it's basically free flow. And if you've ever been into a flow state, you know what that's like. You just feel like you're free falling, and it's amazing. You don't really think, you're just completely connected with what you're doing. It is the optimal state to music in. However, that's not to say as well, I will say this as a disclaimer, that you can still make music without being in flow state, and you shouldn't expect to always be in flow state, even though it's nice. However, there are things we can put in place to make sure that we're not like screwing ourselves over. And one of those things is decision fatigue. How do you train your brain to stop making decisions essentially? Because when we think about our day-to-day life, we go around, we go to the supermarket, we're like, what should I buy, what should I get? You're planning out your day, you're using a lot of the left brain, right? So we're very used to that. However, we want to train our right brain and just say, we'll just be in the flow of things, like follow intuition and go in with instinctive flow, rather than coming up with planning and doing decision making and stuff like that, which is going to eliminate your flow. In the book The Artist's Way, and again, I haven't read this is information that I've pulled from Bill Gates, it's definitely a book I need to read. Best way, or at least the way that's suggested in the book, to train this is to do free write association. So you grab like pen and paper, and you just write. You just write, and you don't stop. You don't think, oh, was that weird to say that, or oh, is that going to associate to that properly? Does that even make sense? Is that logical? Doesn't matter. No one's going to see this but you. And as soon as you've written it, you can rip it up and burn it if you want. I've got these books where I do that. Sometimes really fucked up shit comes out, right? And I'm just like, right, gonna have to burn that, because if anyone read that and took it seriously, they might think I'm fucking weird. So there's a lot of benefits from doing this. The main one is what I spoke about earlier. It's going to train your right brain to sort of be in that state of free flow association and following your instincts, rather than hesitating, thinking, being like, should I write this, should I write that? Just let it come out as like this jumbled mess. Doesn't matter if your handwriting's crap. Doesn't matter if you just write the same word over and over and over and over. Doesn't matter if you do this. This can also be quite therapeutic as well, because sometimes stuff will come up from your past, and you start talking about like an ex or a friend or something that's done something to you. It might hurt. You might feel like some emotion come up, and that's actually really good. If you get to that point, like, you can think of that as like removing an emotional blockage, which we can get into on another video about how that can help you with creativity as well. But this video is just about decision fatigue. So yeah, free writing, doing that every morning. It's best that you do this when you're in an alpha brainwave state. And if you don't know what that means, I don't assume everyone's going to know what this is. It's maybe a bit too technical, but most of the days we're in a beta wave state, which is like, critical thinking, analytical thinking. And that's usually once we've woken up and we're going about our day. Alpha wave brain states are achievable through things like meditation, but you're generally naturally in an alpha wave brain state just before bed and just before you wake up. It's like that half state where you're not really thinking, you don't remember like who you are or what your problems are yet. You're sort of like still hazed out. That's the best time to do this free writing association. And the more you do it in that alpha wave brain state, it's going to allow you to access that alpha wave brain state more regularly when you're trying to write music, because you're going to fall into those like that dreamy sort of flow state, and you're just going to go and just going to flow it all out, right? So yeah, decision fatigue can really mess you up. Obviously, it takes longer to write stuff if you keep making decisions, and it's going to burn through your willpower. Like if you ever gone through a song that just took ages to write, and then you come away feeling really exhausted because you just feel like you've had to grind through it. And don't get me wrong, sometimes you're going to have to do that, especially if you write music every day like I do. But then on the other side of it, it's like that flow state kicks in. You write the track in a few hours. It's awesome. Everything just seems to be clicking into place. And then you come away from it and you feel actually more energetic than when you started. There's like all these different health benefits, I suppose, from it as well. So I've actually created an Ableton template that's designed to help you eliminate your decision fatigue. It's set up so you don't have to worry about like a lot of the admin work, and it has a lot of little processing chains which have very intuitive, simplistic macros on them where you can just turn them and go like, cool, that'll do, that sounds good. It's just to help you along the way with doing things like mixing and automations and processing and stuff like that. Like it's all there. Like it's got side chains set up for you. It's got all the channels set up for you. So you can just access your library super quick and just go da 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 da, and you can write stuff amazingly quick, and it's going to help promote, or I should say cultivate, that flow state that we spoke about, because it's going to remove as much of that decision fatigue as possible. So if you want to check out that template, there's a link in the description. You can go look at it now. There's a full, in that page is a full demo video showing everything through it and explaining how it's going to help you. So click the link below and go grab it now. And thanks for watching the video today, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Cheers.